Hello and peace, and thank you for joining us here at The Lord's Been Kind. Um, this is a great honor to sit amongst these two gentlemen here, Brother Chris and Brother Ira. We got some of the brothers that teach at the Israel Church of Jesus in Philadelphia. The Lord's Been Kind. This has been a show that's actually been running 10 years now. So, yeah, so that's definitely been a blessing. And I know we haven't been maybe as consistent. Although we have definitely been consistent preaching the gospel, we may not have been as consistent as bringing you shows as we like, but now we're back on a monthly basis. And, I guess if we had a subtitle for what we do, is kind of like the spirit for the spiritual. And what we are saying is like, look, once you get in the word, it took a certain level or a standard of doctrine or Bible lessons that you learned. And like we read in the book of Job where it say that the fear of the Lord, that is the beginning of wisdom. And so once you learn, don't kill, don't steal, don't eat pork, it's like it's still another level that you got to get to. And that's what we're really trying to bring you to with the Lord's Been Kind. We're trying to bring you to the next level in your walk of salvation so that you can improve or continue to grow in your growth and get a better understanding, as we're going to probably read today, with all your get understanding. So, with that being said, today we're going to deal with the wisdom of Solomon. And I don't mean the book out of the Apocrypha. I know it's a book of that. And it's funny how the Bible is written. So you got the first 5 books of the Bible. These are the writings of Moses. Now, this is what your scholars are going to tell you. Then after you got the writings of Moses, you got your historical books, Joshua, Judges, as well as your Kings. And these historical books really take place after the children of Israel are out of Egypt, and they tell the story about them becoming a nation and how their kingdom was set up, okay? Then a little further in the book, and we're going to skip the part we're going to cover today, you have the prophecies. The prophetic part start in Isaiah. And from Isaiah to the end of, Micah? That's the last book of the Old Testament? So Malachi, thank you. So from Isaiah to Malachi, you have your prophecies. And these prophecies actually fit inside the historic section of the Bible. Like, for example, if you look at the book of Isaiah, he would be somewhere in Kings around Hezekiah's time period. Or if you looked in the book of Daniel, Daniel would actually be outside of the Kings, because he actually wrote his prophecy after the children of Israel went into captivity. And while they were in captivity, this is when he wrote, okay? So that's what you have then. Then after that, we get to the New Testament. And you got your 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, which people are familiar with those. Those are the Gospels. And it tells basically the story of Jesus. And then after that, you have your letters that Paul and Peter and James and John wrote to the churches. And they tell you at the beginning of each book who they really wrote to. And then you got the book of Revelations, which is, I would like to say, a compilation of both the New and the Old Testament. It's the fulfillment of the whole story, and it's telling you really the book of Revelations covered the beginning, contrary to some people's belief, all the way to the end, okay? So today we're going to look at what is called the poetic aspect of the book. Now, in my phone, I have an app, and it breaks that down as well, and what it calls, I have a Bible app, and what it calls the part of the book that we're going to look at today, wisdom and literature. And that would consist of Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and the Songs of Solomon. Now, we're not going to really touch too much into Job unless y'all brothers choose to, for whatever reason. I don't really care. Same as Psalms. That's not really the focal point today. My favorite book in the Bible is Proverbs. I remember when I was about 19 years old, I was working with a man, and he told me, man, if you want game, go read the book of Proverbs. Now, as I mature in life, I understand. Proverbs tell it to you all, man. It tell you what you need to do. It tell you what wisdom is. It tells you how you can read and understand people. It tell you the difference in a fool and a wise man. And so we're going to look at a little bit of that. And like I said, Proverbs is probably my favorite book. And then Ecclesiastes, man. This book of Ecclesiastes, man, it's like the realest book ever written. I mean, it just keep it straight 100. So without further ado, I want to give you a little backstory on Solomon so that we can comprehend how he came to write these books. So we're going to look at 1 Kings chapter 3, and we're not going to look at a lot of this, and we're going to look at 1 Kings chapter 10 afterward. So in 1 Kings chapter 3, we're going to just pick it up at verse 1, and we're going to jump around in here. So when you get there, go ahead.
And Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter, and brought her into the city of David, until... Let me start it over, bro.
Go ahead. Now you pick it up where you at.
All right. To the city of David, until he made an end of building his own house.
All right, let's get down to verse 3.
All right. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places.
We ain't gonna get into too much of that, but let's skip down to verse 7.
And now, O Lord, my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David my father, and I am but a little child. I know not how to go out or come in. And thy servant is in the midst of thy people, which thou hast chosen.
So this is Solomon talking, and he's talking to the Lord, and he's saying like basically he's being humble. I'm the king. You done set me up over this great people. Go ahead.
A great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people.
So this is what he asked for from the Lord. The Lord said, "What you want? You know, you the king of Israel. What you want?" He said, "Man, give me an understanding heart to judge thy people." Go ahead.
That I may discern between good and bad.
This is what this is what he's asking for. He wants to be able to discern good from bad. Brothers and sisters, this is a key verse here.
Yes, sir.
Because what you're going to learn is when you get into Proverbs, if you can't get nothing else, Proverbs is going to tell you the difference between good and bad. It's going to allow you to be able to make the proper judgment in your activities. You know, sometimes there's what we like to call the gray area of life. It's lawful, you know, but should I do it like smoking weed? You know what I'm saying? That's a good one because, you know, it's and it's a controversial subject amongst Israelites because it's not against the law of God.
Right.
But in the law of man, you know, the law of man, we ain't even getting into the law of man because the law of man say 2 men can get married.
Yeah.
So I'm not even getting into that. But here's the catch. Some people don't need to smoke no weed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm just saying. And Proverbs is the type of book that puts you on the mindset to comprehend that. Some people don't need to drink. You know what I'm saying? Like, because they can't handle their liquor. Proverbs is a book that puts you in that right mindset.
Right.
Okay. So, and that's what I mean by it helps you when you're trying to make those decisions in that gray area. Like one of the Proverbs that I don't know if we're going to read today, but it says an unjust weight is an abomination to the Lord.
Right.
Right. So he's telling you, you're supposed to be fair. You're supposed to be balanced. That's why I ain't trying to have this man work. And he gonna come over my house, he gonna fix my whole house, and I don't pay him nothing. Which is, at least that one sister gave us breakfast, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Shit, it ain't even about the money. You know what I mean? Like, okay, you see I'm out here grinding. Don't be an unjust weight about the situation. You know what I'm saying? And these things are in Proverbs, and again, it's showing you the difference in good and bad. But go ahead, keep reading.
Okay. Good and bad. Discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?
Go ahead.
And the speech pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this thing.
Go ahead.
And God said unto him, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life,
right?
Neither hast asked riches for thyself,
go ahead,
nor hast asked the life of thine enemies,
right?
But hast asked for thyself understanding and to discern judgment.
What do you do?
Behold, I have done according to thy word.
Yes, sir.
Lo, I have given thee a wise and understanding
What
heart,
kind of wise and understanding?
so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee.
So this is Solomon, brothers and sisters, where before him there was none, and after him there should be no more.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? He like, basically the Lord saying, you about to be the coldest philosopher. You know what philosopher is?
It's like the love of thinking or something like that.
It's the study, because philosophy is the study of wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Like by definition now. So we said, when you start talking about being, I got that from Kara's one.
All right.
Yeah, just straight up
philosopher?
Yeah, but I mean,
Okay.
but he challenged my thinking though. I appreciate that because I
Right.
went and found out what did that word mean. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm about to be the coldest one. You know, forget Plato and Socrates and Confucius and all these other great, you know, Aristotle, whoever you want to put on your list.
Right.
That's a great philosopher. The greatest of them all is Solomon. Matter of fact, a lot of these things that I hear today, these little wise sayings, they really be based off of Proverbs.
Word. Yeah.
All right, now let's look at one more thing. 1 Kings chapter 10. 1 Kings chapter 10. And again, I appreciate you being here with us today. You know, just chopping it up with us. And I'm definitely giving these brothers opportunity to talk. You know, they're going to carry the show, but I'm just the intro part. So, you know, just so we can set the standard on what we're doing today. Right. That's all. 1 Kings chapter 10. And now this is the Queen of Sheba. And a lot of people heard of her, especially in your Rastafarian world. But, you know, we're not going to argue with them about it today. But she was, to my knowledge, and according to the book, the Queen of Ethiopia at the time. Mm-hmm. But the reason that we here is because, and it's funny too, because the Chinese was known for having this great arithmetic. And when you look at this right here, what we're about to see, I believe the Chinese got their great arithmetic from Solomon. I believe this is the foundation of all the world's greatness to this day. And it just trickled and was, you know, don't get it twisted. The Greeks had the Israelite books. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, you know, these philosophers, they had these writings. How do you think they managed to get to us? You know what I'm saying? The Gentile rule the world today. So everything we got, they had to have their hands on it. Just straight up like that. And people get mad too. Talking about, oh man, that's the white man. But look, man, we here's the crazy thing about it, and I say this a lot. So the Israelite, the black man, we went and took somebody else's God. We down in Africa, we worshiping the moon god, aka Allah. God say, oh, I know how to give you your God back. I'm going to bring you over here across the seas to this white man who done picked up my book, but he ain't got no understanding. He don't know what he doing with it. And he going to teach you to read it in his language so that you can give it back to you so you can figure it out. Because he don't know what to do with it. I never gave it to him to start with. But you done went and took something else. Mm-hmm. So the Lord know what he's doing. So much that when we read Proverbs, I think it's 16:1, he said the king's heart is in the hands of the Lord. He make it go wherever it go.
True.
You know, so that's why I don't, you know, King James was gay. And look, you can say all you want to say. All I know was he was the king. He said, have it written, have it printed.
Right.
Thank God for that. Because where would you be without it now? So at any rate, so we're going to pick this story up here. And let's pick it up at verse 1. 1 Kings chapter 10, verse 1.
And when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of the Lord, she came to prove him with hard questions. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train, with camels that bear spices, and very much gold, and precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart.
See, all these other folks want to try to tell you some type of love story that went on. Man, she, look, kings and queens, and I hate the way people be trying to play George Bush and Donald Trump like they're idiots. Kings and queens ain't idiots, y'all. They don't get to that position. You the fool if you think Donald Trump is dumb. Yeah. Because when he was running for office, what did we think? That was a joke, right? True. That man was smart enough to get in there. You know, so you can say all you want to say about George Bush and the fact that you think he can't talk. But I'm like, man, that dude talked well enough to get to go to what he went to, Yale, Harvard, one of them kind of schools? Yeah, they ain't just bringing anybody in there. True. You know what I'm saying? So kings and queens, they got knowledge and a level of wisdom. And you might, you know, you might question some of their moves, but they not stupid. True. You know, man ran multi-million-dollar businesses. Now you do that, then if you so smart. You know what I mean? Right. So at any rate, so this is what was going on then.
What's going on?
My brother.
This phone is crazy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Seriously,
newest phone on the stage, don't know how to control it.
That phone is crazy.
So at any rate, so people was coming, and then look at something else in the story. How people come, man, I'm gonna toss that doggone phone.
It won't even turn off.
Man, that's just the devil messing with you, man. Giving you a bad day, bro.
I don't have a bad day. There it is.
Yeah, toss it to her. He got it.
All right, there we go.
Let's go. That's all.
Whew. So it said she came to Jerusalem with a very great train with camels. So that's something else I want us to look at. Like, ain't nothing in this life for free. See how she coming with, like she wants something, but she bringing something. Respect. All right, verse 3, go ahead.
And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king which he told her not. And when the queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom,
Yes, sir.
and the house that he had built, and the meat of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up unto the house of the Lord, there was no more spirit in her.
Meaning like she was just taken away.
Took her breath away.
Yeah, right. Basically took her breath away. But like she was just
Literally.
like, wow. That's what that's something else that you learn about studying the Bible. That like you don't need no concordance, but you need some understanding.
That's it.
And when I say you need some understanding, it's just in the content. She didn't die when she seen it. You know what I'm saying? Like, didn't something leave her body when she seen it? She was just in awe. Like, oh my goodness. Everything I heard was true, real deal. Keep reading though.
And she said to the king, It was a true report that I heard in mine own land of thy acts and of thy wisdom. Howbeit I believed not the words until I came, and mine eyes had seen it, and behold, the half was not told me. Thy wisdom and prosperity exceeded the fame which I heard. Happy are thy men. Happy are these thy servants which stand continually before thee, and that hear thy wisdom.
Go ahead.
Blessed be the Lord thy God, which delighted in thee to set thee on the throne of Israel.
Why is that?
Because the Lord loved Israel forever. Therefore made he thee king to do judgment and justice.
That's what's up. So we see in here that this man Solomon, we bearing record, bearing witness to the fact that like other nations was coming and the fame was heard throughout the land, and we had it going on at this time. We had the wisest king, and he had great riches, all right? Now, we're going to go to Proverbs chapter 1 and Ecclesiastes chapter 1, and then I'm going to share with y'all, not my favorite proverb, I don't know if I have that, but my first. That's what I'm going to share with y'all. The first one that was ever shown to me. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll go from there. So we're going to Proverbs chapter 1. And the reason we're going here is I want you to see why this was written. You know, why the book of Proverbs is written. And what we do today, and we're going to get through some examples of Proverbs, and I'm sure we're going to look at some stuff, you know, all types of, Proverbs all over the place. It takes years to get it. But, and it's 31 Proverbs, FYI, so that gives you one a day per month, if that's something you want to do. But we're going to see the purpose of it. And really, it was already told to us the purpose when we looked at Kings. But let's look at it from, as they say, the horse's mouth. Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding.
So he's saying to know wisdom and instruction, to comprehend the words of understanding. This is what Solomon is on, why he's writing this. Go ahead.
To receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equity.
So he's saying to you're going to get the instructions of wisdom, justice, judgment, that's making the right call, equity, that means that you're being fair and equal. Go ahead.
To give subtlety, to the simple.
Man, I've been saying subtlety for the longest time too, man. You're probably right, but I'm gonna keep saying subtlety until somebody really make me mad. But no, but what that word does mean, at least I know what it means. It's saying we're gonna give structure, or we're gonna give a foundation or a base to the simple. Simple means that you're not that smart.
That's right.
You know, like simpleton. Some of y'all might have heard of that term. You a simpleton. That just means they're saying you're dumb. He's saying we're going to give. But the funny thing, and that's words are important, because dumb means you can't talk. So when somebody said, really, when we use the word dumb, we're using it wrong. Really, the better phrase they probably use would be simple. You know what I'm saying? But so, and I'm saying that because we're going to look at some proverbs that you need the definition for. You know what I'm saying? For the word. But at any rate, it says to give subtlety to the simple, and what else?
To the young man, knowledge and discretion.
So to a young man, it's going to give him knowledge and discretion, meaning it's going to keep that young man out that strip club. You know, honestly, because there's a proverb that say, he that spendeth his a time where harlots loses his substance, or something to that effect. We just read it this past week in church. It's like I'm just going off the top of my head. See, here's the beauty of Proverbs. When you study them and when you constantly read them, they become a part of you. They become a part of your thinking, and it begins to direct the way you do things. Like one to say, a soft answer turn away wrath. So now me and Chris about to go at it, and then all of a sudden I think blessed are the peacemaker. Like, man, we got to make peace. How? We're not going to take two to argue. I'm going to give him a soft answer. Maybe I'm going to apologize. That's in there. All this stuff is in there.
Right.
The way you diffuse situations, who got the problem, is what the one proverb say, whenever you take away the talebearer, the contention ceases. You know what I'm saying? So and if you peep what I'm doing, I am quoting or paraphrasing Proverbs in a way that we understand the situation at hand. It is teaching us to evaluate what's going on and to know the problem. And now also to be able to solve the problem. This is what Proverbs does. But go ahead, where are we, bro?
We are at verse 4.
Uh-huh.
All right. To give subtlety to the simple, the
Go
young
ahead.
man knowledge and discretion.
Uh-huh.
A wise man will hear and will increase learning.
Go ahead.
And a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel.
Yes, sir.
To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings.
That's deep, man. To understand. The purpose is so that you can understand the proverb and the interpretation.
Yes, sir.
How does this work? Then he says the words of the wise and their dark sayings. See, the world been reading this book for years on top of years, but they don't get the dark sayings, and that's because the Lord ain't gave it to them.
Right.
Verse 7.
The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge,
Uh-huh.
but fools despise wisdom and instruction.
All right, that's good. We're not going to go all over the place, but I mean, Proverbs so deep, man. Like I said, this is probably my more favorite topic. Let's go to Ecclesiastes now, chapter 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 1. And then after this, like I say, I'm going to go to my favorite one, or not really my favorite, because that's just not the truth. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know what my favorite proverb is no more. It's so dependent on the subject at hand. You know what I'm saying? That, like, they wrote a song, "The wicked flee when no man pursue it, but the righteous stand bold as a lion." It's like, it's a song about that. It's like, so that could be my favorite. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. That was what, Proverbs 22, I think I just quoted, or maybe 18. I ain't sure. I had to go look at it. But say the wicked flee when no man pursue it, but the righteous stand bold as a lion. So now, when you the one that run or you the one that disappear, that's making a statement about you. So let's just think, brothers and sisters. Let's just think, brothers. So, you know, we done had situations to go on in this church. Peep it now. The wicked flee when no man pursue. Oh, you more than welcome to come. Where brother such and such at? Where sister such and such at? You know what I'm saying? Like, just think about, and I'm not, you know, some people be sick. Some people, like your grandma, she ain't wicked. That ain't why we don't see her. We ain't even know that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We talking about just think about, okay, so it's some contention, it's some issues, and all of a sudden, now don't nobody want to be here no more. You know what I'm saying? The wicked flee when no man pursue it. There ain't nobody going to, we ain't got no problem.
Right.
You know, we ain't got no problem with you. I'm just saying, you use these things to analyze your moves.
Right.
The righteous stand bold as a lion. Why? What you running for? If you ain't did nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? But at any rate, so we're going to look at Ecclesiastes and pick it up at chapter 1 and verse 1.
The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, vanity of vanities.
That's good, because I just wanted the introduction, and Proverbs so cold. I mean, verse 12, I, the preacher, was king over all Israel. I gave my heart to, matter of fact, read that verse 12. Jump out of verse 12.
I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem.
Uh-huh.
And I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven.
Go ahead.
This sore travail hath God given to the sons of men to be exercised therewith.
Uh-huh.
I have seen all the works that are done under the sun, and behold, all is vanity and vexation of spirit.
Man, that's pretty much what it boiled down to with
Right.
Solomon. And he concludes his book by saying, keep the commandments. True. Like, he done peeped out everything from, man, this dude had all the women. So, you know, brothers out here, chasing women. Like, man, he had them all. He telling you it's vanities of vanity. I mean, just think, this dude had, what they said, 300 some wives, 700 concubines?
700 concubines.
Bruh, that means he done had every Asian, Mexican, Iranian, Gentile. I mean, you name it, he didn't have it. I mean, you got that many. I think he got world champion.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Easy
Easy,
if he needed
right?
to, right?
And what he tell you about that too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, that thing what all is cracked up to be. That's what I'm saying. He didn't have it all.
Yeah.
He didn't have the money, everything, and he say, man, when it's all said and done, it don't bring you no happiness. Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so but let's go to. So now what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna show you the first one. I'm gonna give you a little backstory, and then we're gonna go to Ecclesiastes 12:1. And here's the backstory. So I grew up in a Sunday church for about a good, pretty much my elementary and middle school days of my life. I went to church often. And I went to a pretty good Sunday church. I went to a church that had a lot of programs, a lot of youth programs. And, you know, on Tuesday or Wednesday, I don't remember what day it was, we would have youth day at the church. And so all the youth, and you know how I rock, it's neighborhood churches where I come from Detroit. So, you know, we had a lot of neighborhood kids up there, and they would try to make the Bible fun for a couple of hours. So I respect that. You know, I don't do the Sunday bashing. I know what day the Sabbath is, but some of these churches out here, man, they trying to do the best they can with what they got for these people. So I'm not gonna hate on them. Now they doctrine, hey, we can argue that all day, and I know who wins that one because the book is right, you wrong. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying though, it's a lot of these Sunday churches, they community centers, and they support and help the community. Now a lot of them robbing people. I'm not here to they definitely don't just get my vote, but I'm saying that I'm not here to bash them like that because I look at my path to salvation and my path to righteousness, and it came that way. Man. So then how am I going to sit here and tell you going to hell when you going to church every Sunday? That ain't my call to make. I will say this much, there's better. You know what I'm saying? There is more. I would definitely say that. But to put you in hell, who am I? So at any rate, so when I was a kid, we had our little youth things or whatever. And you know, they would give us, we would have these little Bible games where you had to hold your Bible up. They tell you to go find the scripture, and first one to find it, you know, they get points on the board, all kind of little stuff for the kids. So one of the scriptures that they gave us stayed with me for a lifetime. And this is Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 1. So as Solomon is writing, and as he's getting to the end of it, as he's concluding really, watch what he says. Go ahead, Ecclesiastes 12:1.
Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth.
So he's saying, remember your Creator right now while you still got the youth to do so. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When you got the mind to do so. Mm-hmm. Because when they say it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, it is. Mm-hmm. Or as Jesus said, so much more politically correct, it is hard to give new wine to an old bottle. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a hard thing to do. Go ahead.
While the evil days come not.
Because he's saying in your youth, you know, the days that's ahead of your youth, like when I look at my kids, what they got in front of them is evil days. True. They got troubles. That's what we mean by evil days. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them.
So he said, if you don't remember God in your youth, when the days get, you know, as you get older, and you didn't remember him, you ain't gonna seek God. He said, I have no pleasure in them. What else he gonna say?
While the sun, or the light, or the moon, or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened.
Man, you getting old.
You're getting old.
Yeah, you're getting old. You know what I'm saying? You need to remember him in your youth. Like, just think about something. What if you turn 65? When I was a kid, I used to think, man, I'm gonna get it right when I get older. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna do all I want to do now when I get. But what happens if you can't read when you get older? You get cataract or something. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, now you can't. You know, like you can't hear so well no more when you. Like, that's what happens when you get older. You know what I'm saying? You're not as sharp. All right. And then he goes into that. You know, the doors shall be shut in the streets. You know. But let's get down to verse 8:6.
Or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern.
Go ahead.
Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it.
So what he just did, he said, remember God and while you can. Because ultimately you're going to die when it's all said and done.
True indeed.
That's what then shall the dust return to the earth. You come from dust. You don't believe me? Go take a bath, dry off, and tell me what that is that's coming off when you dry yourself off. It's dirt.
Or what get me, you remember the dust in your house.
Yeah.
You know, when they analyze it, they see it's mostly your skin particles.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a good one. Yeah. So, you know, this one here is, we'll read verse 8.
Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, all is vanity.
Yeah, and that's what he's getting at. Like, you need to remember God in your youth. As you get older, if you don't remember him in your youth, you ain't going to have no desire for him. You know what I'm saying? So that's my proverb. I mean, well, that's Ecclesiastes. But to me, they work hand in hand. This is my one of my favorite pieces here. And so what I would like y'all brothers to do and start is, share with us, your thoughts and your feelings on Proverbs, and at least give us a proverb, if nothing else. So we'll start with you, Brother Chris.
All right, so let's flip over to Proverbs 4.
And I apologize. I keep saying Proverbs, and y'all brothers know I mean Proverbs and Ecclesiastes.
Okay.
But I'm apologizing for the audience,
Gotcha.
though, because I'm really being inclusive of both, even though I keep saying Proverbs.
Okay.
But we had Proverbs 4.
Yeah, actually, let me see something. And this is a good one. We could read this.
You can read the
But,
whole book, huh?
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, this ain't the one that I was thinking about, but this is one of the ones I have written down. So Proverbs 4 and 23 say, keep thy heart.
I'll read it.
Okay.
Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life.
All right. So, in life, and like the Lord say, even when he restored Israel, at that point it ain't going to be, a need for a person to teach his neighbor, because his words, his law, going to be in their mind and heart. And that's what we know that this heart is talking about. If the word is there, it's going to prevent a whole lot later on down the line if you can check issues first in your mind, which is what this is talking about. So I think this is so important to see, kind of the start of the issues that people have is in their thinking, So that's what he's saying. Keep thy heart, like, diligently guard it.
That's right.
Against, because, we got to be aware of what we're consuming, the media, the music, what we watching on TV, people are feeding you an agenda with they're changing the world, how the world thinks through these, types of media.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that's just one of mine.
But let me read it all the way down, and if you want to elaborate some more, you can, because I just read it. It's good.
Okay.
So it says, put away from thee a forward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on. Let thy eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. Guess it's kind of self-explanatory.
Yeah.
So, what can you say about it? What can you say about it?
The beauty of Proverbs.
Let me just flip over and
Where we going?
find it. Let's go over to Proverbs 16 and check out verse 3. Because the same way that, we just read to keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. He kind of show you, the other way of changing your mind by what you do.
Yeah.
Which I've learned in life, and I listen to a lot of like books and stuff too, that it's not only the mind that control the body, but it's what you do that also has an effect on your mind. Everything that you do, it creates a path. It ultimately starts to become a habit, a pattern.
Yeah.
So let's check out verse 3.
16 and 3.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established.
All right, so now we see that, people that go about serving the Lord, maybe at first you don't have that intention, that mindset, but if you go about serving the Lord in, being genuine in it, it's going to change your mind. He said, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. So that's just a couple. It's a lot more. I actually prefer. I like Ecclesiastes a lot.
Yeah, but that's both of them.
Yeah.
We just looking at
Yeah.
Solomon. That's Proverbs and Ecclesiastes.
Right.
Before I'm gonna let you get to your Ecclesiastes. While we here, and I say here as in on my page in the book, Proverbs 15, 31 and 32, and I'm just going on this whole page of my book. I done had a lot of Bibles, so I done had some Bibles where it's all been marked, but that's all that's marked on here. So read that one.
15 and what?
31 and 32.
All right. The ear that heareth the reproof of life abideth among the wise. 31 and 32, brother. He that refuses instruction despiseth his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding.
That's good. So I mean, like I say, man, I just wanted to. We was there, And then while we still
While we
here,
here.
like
Yeah,
I know,
yeah,
no,
I
while
know.
we no
Yeah.
seriously, while we
I got
still
you.
here, and I'm just trying to show you something. Let's go to we're gonna do Proverbs 17:1, 18:1, 19:1, and 20:1.
All right.
Before
Go
we
ahead, go
can
ahead.
we while we in 16,
Yeah,
can we
Yeah,
read
no
verse
doubt.
4?
All
Verse
right, go.
4 too. This is how the book of Proverbs is, because one thing you realize, it can deal with multiple subjects, one right after another. He just dealing with everything, so it ain't no order per se.
Yeah.
But check out verse 4, 16 and 4, if you don't mind.
The Lord hath made all things for himself. Yea, even the wicked for the day of destruction.
So,
Or
for
day of evil, I'm
this
sorry.
this one thing that a lot of church folks don't understand is that even the wicked is serving God.
Yeah.
Ultimately, whatever they do, like we know the scripture, a lot of people know, it say all things work together for good for them that love God. It really don't matter what somebody's personal agenda is, whether it be greed or however, rulers, like you used a couple presidents, they may not even know the God of the Bible. They might just have their own agenda in mind. But like the Lord had Nebuchadnezzar to write, God reign in the kingdom of men. He set up whomsoever he will.
Yeah.
So this, I think, is important for servants of God to understand that it really don't matter, who's coming against you. Really, it's ultimately all in the Lord's will. It's all in his plan.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Let me just piggyback off you real fast, because you're sitting right here. When the brother read earlier that, guard your heart with all diligence, your mind, for out of it are the issues of life. When you're reading right here in Proverbs, because it's so deep and it's so good, but Proverbs chapter 16, where it says in verse 2.
All right, let me see. We might as well just start at verse 1 and just have
keep
the
it
first
going,
one.
right?
Yeah, so it say, the preparation of the heart is in man, and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weighs the spirit.
See, understand that, brothers. Why you gotta guard your heart with all diligence. Listen, there's a way that seems right to man, but hey, if it's not according to the word of God, at the end of your ways, at the end of your thoughts, it's going to be destruction.
Yeah, no
So,
doubt.
you stick to this wisdom. And when my brother, I just want to piggyback off that with you, and I want to piggyback off what you said earlier. Solomon asked the Lord for wisdom and understanding. And you got to understand this. The Lord gave it to him above all men. So if you want to seek life and get understanding, get knowledge, and ultimately get eternal life, it would behoove us to listen to these words and take it in and put it in your heart. And like I said, at verse 2, all the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. Read verse 3, brother.
Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts should be established.
Like a brother had. It's all good right there, man.
And another thing I kind of ponder as I think about verse 2 is that one thing you start to realize as you get some understanding of the word of God is that, like, you don't know what good and evil is. Like you
Right.
used to maybe think it was, whatever you thought it was innately, whatever you thought was, but you come to find out certain things, maybe evil that you didn't even think were evil. Like, somebody not remembering the Sabbath day. That might not necessarily seem as bad as somebody killing somebody, but you realize that God is the only one that has the authority to draw the line between good and evil.
Or
It's
even
not your
vice
own thoughts.
versa, though. Like how, and this was a discussion me and my wife had. It was about drinking, and how she was like, "Well, when the Sabbath, this is something that's done. That when the Sabbath, after it's over with, a lot of us, I don't drink, but a lot of us go soon the Sabbath is over with, we ready to go pop the bottle. You know what I'm saying? And she like, yo, like every week? And I'm like, well, what sin is being committed now? Like, see, what man think might not be right, that like if you say to me, and it was a good conversation my wife and I had, but if you say to me, well, they drinking too much, and I'm like, okay, you call the shots on who drinking, you determine that,
right.
like so, because see me, I'm in the seat of authority to where I got to make the decision, like, okay, well, Ira, we gonna have a 1 drink limit after the Sabbath up here. Ira say, because because my seat of authority still comes from what thus said the Lord. I enforce God's authority. I don't. It's not my rules. I would say, well, that's in the book. You see what I'm saying? Like, and that's what we getting at. Like, what you might think, and I'm just using all that as an example.
Yeah.
It's what you might think is wrong.
Exactly.
Might playing cards on a Sunday. That's what they told me
That's
that
what
was
you
wrong.
say
Right.
from my grandmother. My grandma, cards, dice on Sundays, like it ain't happening.
Gambling, period.
Like period.
I thought
Everything.
playing the lottery. Oh man, your daddy playing the lottery. He going to hell. I'm like, dang. Now I'm like, what? Where you read that at?
She'll spend that money when he come in though.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly.
You said something earlier where it's like this. The Proverbs give you gain. So like you said, Paul says somewhere, it says, all things are lawful, but not everything's expedient.
True.
You know what I mean? So like you said, now we drinking every week. By the way, he don't drink. Sometimes we gonna put it out there like that. But if I'm drinking every Sabbath and then turn into a butthead, I mean, end of Sabbath, and then turn into a butthead every week. You know what I mean? Maybe if I can't handle my alcohol, then maybe I shouldn't be drinking. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So it's like,
even though it's lawful.
Even though it's lawful, I'm not out here breaking the law or anything. But you know what? It's just not good for me.
Which, while you on that topic, and now we said we was gonna do Proverbs 17, 18, 19, 20. Chapter 21 says this: wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise.
Yeah.
So on that same subject matter, like that you talking about, where maybe I shouldn't be, or maybe and we not this ain't really personal. You know what I'm saying? But okay, well maybe I shouldn't be. Well, look what it's telling you about it, and don't get it. Don't forget. Don't trip. Ecclesiastes tell you that wine make the heart merry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everything has its place. Right. But then this book is teaching you, with the writings of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, to be able to judge the matter and determine if this is the move that I wanted to make. Now, I remember you were saying before we jump, we're going to do this a lot, that he was saying there was another proverb around here you wanted to read?
No, I was going to go over to Ecclesiastes.
All right, well, we're going to get there. We're going to get there.
Take your time.
I'm going to read this 17:1, 18:1, and 19:1. 17:1. And just, man, like I said, we could do this forever.
Yes, we can.
But better is a dry morsel and quietness therewith than a house full of sacrifice with strife. That's just a proverb. I'm not going to get into it. I'm just showing you. Chapter 18:1. Through desire, a man having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom. 19:1. Better is the poor that walketh in his integrity than he that is perverse in his lips and is a fool. So those are just, I'm just, Proverbs go everywhere. But you said you had some Ecclesiastes. What you got for us, bro?
Well, just on the subject you was just talking about, how, basically it's a time for everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's go over to Ecclesiastes chapter 8.
Chapter 8.
Because as he's going to explain here, and, we'll read it, but time, should be a factor in how we judge a matter, because it may not always be the same response. This the wise thing to do, right? Depending on the time. And we're gonna go over it exactly. Okay. So Ecclesiastes 8, and here's one on the way to it. Can we read verse 2?
All right. I counsel thee to keep the king's commandment, and that in regard of the oath of God.
All right. So what it's saying here is, if the commandments of man don't conflict with God's commandments, then we obey them. But we keep in mind, while we obeying man's, God's commandments is really on the forefront of our mind.
That's right.
But skip down to verse 6 and go ahead.
All right. Because to every purpose there is time and judgment. Therefore the misery of man is great upon him.
I'm sorry. Read verse 5 too.
Whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment.
All right, so we know Solomon saying in another place, that there's a time for everything, to cast away stones and to gather stones together, to kill and to heal and to bind up and all that. And I forget exactly what chapter 3, but he's saying the same thing here. you always got to consider the time. Maybe, maybe it's cool to drink after the Sabbath, and I don't drink either. But I'm saying, you
Y'all
might
know why, right?
you might look around.
After I beat him in that chess game.
Because like we read, he did, is deceived by, wine is a mocker. He is deceived thereby is not wise. I done been deceived in the past.
Yeah,
you
we all
got
have.
beat in that
Had
chess
to make
game.
some moves to get away.
It's terrible.
It ain't all about
Israel.
chess.
Israel, boy.
Just gotta let everybody know.
He gonna play you again.
I just thought it was the time to throw stones.
All right. But so he said to every purpose. So say you look around with somebody new, you realize maybe they don't have that understanding that it's okay to do these things, so maybe that ain't the time. So it's okay, but you're going to judge because of the time, and make a decision based on that. So I think that shows wisdom that really in everything we do, we got to consider time along with our judgment.
True indeed. True indeed. And listen, because adding to that, it was a time when we was all out here, we didn't have this knowledge of God. We didn't have all this good truth and this wisdom in front of us, right?
Right.
And so, when you read verse 11, read verse 11 right here.
Chapter 8:11.
8:11.
But, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil.
Understand, my parents, I'm pretty sure your parents and your grandparents and your mom, all of them told you, listen, about the Lord. Some way, shape, form, and fashion. You shouldn't be out here lying. You shouldn't be out here running with women. And you shouldn't be out here stealing and doing all stuff. Yet and still, we took that on the chin, and we still went out there and did it, knowing that the end of it is death, ultimately. But like we said earlier, when we're young, we like, you know what, I'm going to get out here and do all this, and sow my oat and do all this. And then when I get older, I'm going to go ahead and get right. You know what I'm saying? And thank the Lord that he had mercy on us, because, because, you read another place, I think it's in Matthew where the fool said, I'm going to build my barn and put all my stuff in, and then he said, I'm going to take my ease and chill. Then the Lord said, you fool, your life required tonight. He could have did that to us at any time, you know what I'm saying? And it's because that sentence, because of the sentence against...
That's not in Matthew, it's in Luke.
It's in Luke, excuse me, Luke 12, as a matter of fact. Because the sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the hearts of the Son of Man is fully set in them to do evil. So it's good to get this word when we young, like you said, man.
Plus that's saying too, because you don't get your wig split when you do something.
Yeah.
Like when you slept with that chick the other night and you didn't wake up with AIDS, so you thought you can do it the next night
good.
too. Right, yeah. You ain't had no baby the next night.
Oh,
so
man.
The judgment ain't getting hit that morning. So it's like now all of a sudden, you in a pattern, like you were saying, that's what you have become, what you keep doing. You in the pattern of doing this evil, and then after a while, like it tell you later in that chapter, though a sinner do evil 100 times, and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it should be well with them that fear God, fear before him. It should not be well with the wicked. Neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before God. You know what I mean? So, like, even though you ain't getting punished, like when you're a little kid, you go in there and you steal the Snicker bar. All right, but now you 26 and you robbing banks, and now you doing 20 to life. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna get you. It's gonna go well with you if you just kept the raggedy shoes instead of switching them out when you went to the shoe store and ran out with the high-tech boots.
You kept going.
That wasn't me though.
Real
I was
fast.
with him though.
Brother, you ain't had nothing else. Can you go to Proverbs chapter 4 real fast? Yeah, because going right along with that thought process, you know what I mean? Look at 4 and pick it up at verse 1.
Hear ye children the instruction of a father, and attend to no understanding. For I give you good doctrine. Forsake ye not my law.
Now, what's doctrine? Doctrine is a way of life, a teaching or a way of life, how you're supposed to live. He said, hear the instruction of a father. And Solomon tells you right at the beginning of this, of Proverbs 1, he says, to receive instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, to give subtlety to the simple, and a young man knowledge and discretion. This is what we're supposed to do. He says, so take this instruction and hear it, right? He gives you good doctrine, right? Read verse 4.
He taught me also and said unto me, let thine heart retain my words, Keep my commandments and live.
Keep my commandments and live.
Yes, sir.
That's what we're trying to do, right? Keep them and live ultimately. That's what we need to do. Skip right down the verse 5, brother, and read.
Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not. Neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding.
Keep on going, brother. Read.
Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor, when thou doest embrace her. She shall give to thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory. She shall deliver to thee. Hear, O my son, and receive my many sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many.
See, although Solomon didn't ask when he was a child for life, but he asked for wisdom and understanding on how to govern God's people and how to learn. He said, Lord replied to him was, although you didn't ask me for the life of your enemies or for riches, for anything, I'm going to give all this to you. I'm going to give you riches. I'm going to give you long life. You know what I mean? I'm going to give you the life of your enemies because you want this knowledge and this wisdom. So it's very important for us to look at, as we're dealing with the wisdom of Solomon and how important it was and how the Lord blessed this man with a broad mind, not to take it for granted, for naught, and look and get this wisdom, get this understanding, because at the end of it, it's going to promote you and get life, ultimately to become God. You know what I mean? You're going to win in this thing called life right here, and then you're going to win ultimately the life of God. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just like when Christ came, it said that, to first seek the kingdom of God. That's where Solomon's mind was at. And he was like, hey, all that stuff that the nations seek after, he going to give you that anyway. He said that'll be added unto you.
Right.
Because in another place, was you done there?
Yeah.
I think it's, let me see, Ecclesiastes 5 and verse 10.
Go ahead.
Because we know that, it's easy to get caught up looking at the things of this world, and kind of get sidetracked.
Right.
When you see other people got, things that that's why the commandments say, thou shalt not covet.
Right.
People got things, they live in the good life, and, this is all that, is put before you in television and stuff like that, is this, consumption mindset. Buy this, you need
Right.
that. What's the whatever the American dream, house and 2 cars, 2.5
2.3
kids, or something crazy
Yeah.
like
And
that.
a dog.
Yeah, they always got you wanting more.
Right.
When we're gonna see that Solomon said, hey, what can a man do that cometh after the king?
Right.
He said, I done did all this already. He said, you can't do it better than me. He said, only that which has been done already. He said. So check out what he said about riches here
Yeah,
at
5 and 10.
Yeah, 5
He
and
that
10.
loveth silver should not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This also is vanity.
Hey, it's like the more you get, the deeper that void is inside of you. You look at people all the time with plenty of riches and wealth, and they, committing suicide
Right.
and depressed, miserable, because you're not going to be satisfied. The more you love that, the more you're going to want it. You're not going to be satisfied by it.
When goods increase, they are increased at equal.
Ain't that true? Instead of friends, now you got freeloaders.
More money,
You
more
know what I mean?
problems.
Everybody got their hand out. Go
What
ahead.
good is there unto the owner thereof, saying the beholding of them with this, saving the beholding of them with their eyes. The sleep of a laborer man is sweet.
Yes, sir.
Check that out.
Whether he eat little or much.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
you work all day. It's easy to go to sleep.
Yeah.
It don't matter if you had a big meal or ate a piece of bread. You're
But
gonna
you at
sleep
peace
well.
too,
And-
though.
yeah,
true.
That's
Gotta
why
be
when we
honest.
say the sleep of the labor man
Right.
is sweet, it's like you respect
True.
that sleep and it's good. It's no problem. You know what the
Right.
next day
True
is, and
indeed.
so on and so forth. Whether he eat little or much,
Right.
you still know, and you got that peace of mind. Contrary to the more money, more problem.
Yeah.
Right.
But the abundance of the rich would not suffer him to sleep.
True indeed.
Right, because he's steady on it.
Yeah,
like,
you gotta
he checking his
maintain that.
account, checking on his people. Like, man, my cousin, man, we can't have a family. Man, I remember we went to Six Flags. Well, that's what y'all would think. It was Cedar Point. Man, this dude got his phone now watching his employees. You know what I'm saying? We watching the Super Bowl at his crib. You know what I'm saying? And we all down there. He called me over to the table. They said, he got his computer out. He checking on his restaurant. And you know what I'm saying? Like this dude. I'm like, dang, dude, did you ever? Every time
Like,
I see him,
chill,
eyes
yeah.
blush out red.
Yeah.
He, you know what I'm saying? He walk around with a pistol everywhere he go. You know what I mean?
can't do it.
He just he got plenty though.
Consumed.
I mean, he got good.
I can't
But man, I don't. I'll take what I got, you know what I'm saying, with the peace that I got,
True.
than what you got and the troubles that you got.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? That's just for me watching firsthand. But just looking at these Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, I want us to go to Proverbs 29. And the reason, what I want us to make sure that we gather in all this, see, what I've noticed Brother Chris and Ira do most is they have looked at the reason why you are to be in, why you want to go into Ecclesiastes and into Proverbs and some of the key points of you obtaining salvation for life. But what I want to make sure that we accomplish too is to let you know that it's what's really in there. Like by the time you get past chapter 10, like once you get to like 11 in Proverbs, you know what I'm saying, that whole story is just, and then it's just on another path. And then when you get into the 20s, yo, I mean, that's what I'm saying, you got to really dig into this book. And here's one I like, Proverbs 29, 25 through 27. Read that one.
All right.
The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be saved. Many seek the ruler's favor, but every man's judgment cometh from the Lord.
Yeah, so you know, he tell you the fear of man bringeth this, meaning you being afraid of what man can do, you setting a trap for yourself. But if you put your trust in the Lord, you're gonna be straight, whatever the situation is. Then he tell you, many seek the ruler's favor. Everybody looking to see who in charge. But every man's judgment come from the Lord, though. The Lord run it. That's who run it. Whatever the judgment that get handed down to you in life, that come from God. Same as Joseph. When Joseph had to go to jail, he was innocent. That judgment came from God. But look what it ended up getting him. It ended up saving him and his people. So, you know, I just want us to comprehend that, you know, because a lot of times we preach the commandments, keep the commandments, keep the commandments. But Proverbs is everywhere.
I just had one with that today. I had a situation. Went to handle some business this week, and I end up coming to work when I had 2.5 hours left. When I got there, they was all sitting there looking. They was like, "Hey man, I wouldn't even came in." They said, "Why'd you come in?" I said, "Because," one guy said, "because he's showing good work ethic and all that." He said, "Man, look, man," I would have said, "Forget this job." I said, "But see, I'm different." I said, "I work for the Lord. And although he don't see me," I said, "although y'all would have stayed here, but my judgment is coming from the Lord. And so every job that I do, I'm doing it for him. Because if, you know, he gonna help me when I don't need to be, when I'm gonna need something the most that I'm not even thinking about down the line." So it's, you know what I mean? So I was just telling it to them, and they looked at me like they didn't understand, but I'm like, yeah. I said, you're supposed to do every job like you're doing unto the Lord, even if you have a wicked ruler or a wicked boss, you're supposed to do that. It's a real quick piece. And I said, that's what it just reminded me of.
No doubt. Check this Proverbs 11 and 15. I'm gonna show y'all this too. Now sometimes, see, this book was written in the King's English. And so sometimes you're gonna run across a word in here, and you know, a lot of people like to play with the concordance. I don't fool with that. But a lot of times you run across a word in here, and you think you know what it means, and it don't. So read that Proverbs 11 and 15.
He that is surety for a stranger shall smart for it, and he that hateth suretyship is sure.
Man, so me and my wife first got to, me and my wife came into the word together. So I you know, a lot of my studies was with her. You know what I'm saying? Like as far as, you know, especially her bringing me questions even. So, you know, we wrestled with this for the longest one day. You know what I mean? Like he that is surety for a stranger shall smart. We could not get it. And what we had to do is we had to look up some of these words. So he that is surety, like basically, you was about to say something?
Nah.
Oh.
I saw you had the dictionary already out. I was going to pick that one up.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I didn't even look this one. I actually looked up another word. But surety, and you can look it up if you want to, but it's basically like when you put yourself in a situation where you are like vouching for somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like okay, yeah, like or like here's something we do, you know, when we go and get credit, we co-sign. That's the word we use. You co-sign for somebody, all right? So he's saying, he that co-sign for a stranger shall smart for it. Now, I couldn't get that for nothing until I found out what smart meant. And you would have thought smart meant you got some sense. But if you was to go look up the definition, one of the definitions to be a source of sharp, local, unusual, superficial pain. I didn't know that until I looked it up. I knew it before the day. Suffer is another word that you could use for it. So, two things we comprehended from us going to this proverb. Number one is look at the game it's giving you. So it's saying if you go co-sign for a stranger, you're gonna suffer. So that's saying if you don't know somebody, don't be co-signing for them.
Wow.
And then, and he that hateth suretyship should be sure. So if you ain't co-signing for nobody, you always good.
You're gonna be secure, like
yeah,
like
you ain't got no problem.
sure.
Like, hey, man, I don't know, man. I ain't vouching for nothing. Then you straight then. So it's so much game to be obtained in this book. But what you got to do sometimes is don't take for granted that you know what it's saying. Like I'm gonna give you another example, Proverbs 28:16. And that's what. So when you go in here and you study and you done read this 50 million times, I'm saying, do you really know what these words mean? 28:16. And read that one.
The prince that wanteth understanding is also a great oppressor.
Uh-huh.
But he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days.
The prince that wanteth understand. Let me tell you something. When you see word prince, man, you got some time to look at yourself like that. You know what I'm saying? You the king, you the prince. But at any rate, even if you look at it in kingship, the prince that now wanteth. So that was a word I had to look up. But it means to lack.
Lack. Mm-hmm.
So if you lack understanding, then it's saying that you gonna be a great oppressor. Think about that. Think about your boss. If he lacks understanding, he's going to be a great oppressor. Think about our presidents and things that are. Think about the slavery in America. You know what I'm saying? Our oppressors lacked understanding. They thought we was 3/5 of a person. So I mean, what our oppressors didn't have understanding. Right. So they were great oppressors. They made it hard on us. Not realizing, like, as they begin to get more understanding, they like, hey, they'll do more if we give them more. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why we got what we got today. They still are oppressor, but I'm saying they giving us more now, so we produce more. True. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I say, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes is where it's at. Like, you want to dig in there, and you know, it's so much in here. You got any other Proverbs, anything you want to share with us? There's so much in here. And believe it or not,
Proverbs,
we've been doing this for an hour. I'm not to our discredit, just saying how smooth these books roll. It'll have you in here, and you don't even realize you've been in here that long.
Yes, really. Proverbs chapter 8 and verse 11.
Proverbs 8 and 11. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all things that may be desired are not to be compared to. Yeah, we looked at something like that when we was in Ecclesiastes.
Verse 19.
My fruit is better than gold, yea, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver.
And 33 to 35. That's it.
Hear instruction
36.
Hear instruction and be wise. Refuse it not. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his own. The me is wisdom.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. He that sinneth against me wrongeth his own soul.
33 through 36.
Oh.
32 through 36.
Now therefore hearken unto me, O children, for blessed are they that keep my ways. Mm-hmm. We're talking about wisdom.
Wisdom we're talking about right
Hear instruction and be wise, and refuse it not. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my doors. For whosoever findeth life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord.
Whosoever findeth me findeth life.
For whosoever findeth me findeth life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord. But he that sinneth against me wrongeth his soul. All they that hate me love death.
So if you don't like wisdom, brothers, you know what I mean, or sisters, you know what I mean, you love death. You know what I mean, it's self-explanatory. So these things sometimes are just so self-explanatory, and they're so simple. Exactly. And when you have wisdom, like it say here, just one more verse. Look at this is what it is. When you have wisdom of the Lord.
You gonna stop lying and saying one more verse.
Verse 9.
He say, they are all plain to him that understandeth, and right to them that find knowledge.
You have wisdom. All these words are going to be plain to you that findeth knowledge, and if you understand, it's going to be plain. Go ahead, brother. That's it.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Just, I mean, it's so much more. It's so much in here.
I just got a couple more. Back to Ecclesiastes. That's
no doubt.
most of mine was over
That's
there.
where it is.
We hit up chapter. What is it? Let me see. Chapter 8.
I'm gonna read 10 and 1 while we're
Okay.
here. Dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savor. So doeth a little folly with him that is in reputation for wisdom and honor. So that's Ecclesiastes 10 and 1. So that's like saying, you know, like how everybody say Dr. Martin Luther King was great, and all of a sudden they be like, "Ooh, but he slept around with his wife." That's so it's like a little folly that is of him of reputation and honor. Like, so when you do something, you know, something little, it's like it negates all the good you did to the people's eyes. That's another Ecclesiastes. But we're going to 8.
Yeah, I actually had that in the Bible in plain view. I didn't get to it.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
You know, because obviously that's something that applies to anybody teaching the word also. You know. Because the apothecary kind of like, I think, the aromatherapy. You know, but it has some dead flies in there.
He brings the herb.
Well, you know, they got the oils that they burn, and then it make the room smell good. And if a fly gonna land in there, it just stink up the whole room. Yeah. Like, that's the same thing. But yeah, 8 and 11. 8 and 14. Because, you know, a lot of time people want to know, like, well, you know, why do certain bad things happen to good people? You know, he kind of talk about that too. Like you said, this is the type of issues that philosophers try to address and figure out. But, you know, Solomon was given this wisdom by God. He didn't address all of this. Go ahead.
There is a vanity which is done upon the earth, that there be just men unto whom it happeneth according to the work of the wicked.
So it be people that's just, you know, and they get the kind of punishment that, you know, the wicked deserve. Go ahead.
Again, there be wicked men to whom it happens according to the work of the righteous. I said this also is vanity.
Because, you know, Solomon, he's showing us throughout Ecclesiastes, showing us how all this is vain, that this life don't even matter. The Lord going to judge all this at the end.
Right.
You know, and give everybody their just reward, their recompense. So I just thought that was, you know, a good thing to show people that, you know, it ain't always because of something somebody do either. Like when Christ came and you know, Pilate had killed some people and a tower had fell. He said, you think that they sinners above everybody in Jerusalem?
Right.
He's like, nah, you know, but if you don't repent, you're going to perish also.
Right.
So, and then it was one more. Let me see. It was Ecclesiastes 10 and 5. Just showing that, you know, like Solomon say, there's nothing new under the sun. And when he's saying that, he kind of talking about like the trends that mankind goes through, you know, the ways that people act and stuff like that. He ain't saying that, you know, they had smartphones 2,000 years ago. But Ecclesiastes 10 and verse 5.
There is an evil which I have seen under the sun, as an error which proceeded from the ruler. Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in a low place.
So people start acting like the people in power. You notice you've seen a lot of calamity, a lot of violence, you know, when the people in power, you know, they running campaigns and they act like that. Then people start acting like that at their campaigns. They act, you know, foolish, and they, you know, they honored by man. It says folly is set in great dignity, and the rich, the humble people sit in low place. But go ahead.
I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth.
Check that out. He said, I have seen servants upon horses. You know, people that's going to be future servants, they got it all right now. They upon horses. Then he said princes, people that's going to be ruling in the future, hey, they servants upon the earth now. Like he said, the meek going to inherit the earth.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
But yeah, that's just a couple more that I wanted to share with y'all.
Man,
While we hear though, verse 16, he say, woe to thee, O land, when thy king is a child, thy princes eat in the morning. Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the son of nobles, and thy princes eat in due season for strength, and not for drunkenness. By much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through. A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answer all things. So he's telling you, you're gonna need some paper. Every time you're gonna need some paper. Curse not the king. No, not in our thoughts. And this is important to me because a lot of times people, we be dog, like Donald Trump, George, like, bruh, just get up and go to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to have to get up and go get it. Look, man, I done seen people get money in the Donald Trump era, and I done seen people be broke in the Bill Clinton, Barack Obama era. So don't tell me it's about, because in my world, that's the good and the evil. Now, last night, I was sitting amongst a whole bunch of Donald Trump supporters, and they was bashing the Obamacare. That's what they were doing. And you know what I told these cats? Because I was like, shoot, man. The government, they was like, he inherited this, that. I said, man, the government been messed up since Gerald Ford. They looked at me like, what in the world? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how this come out this old Negro mouth? But I mean, so what we're getting at is, I don't even want to get into politics, but what we're getting at is, he telling you through all that, like in verse 18, slothful, the slothfulness, the building gonna decay, like you lazy, you ain't gonna have nothing. Then he say, but money, you need to go get it. But then he say, curse not the king, no not in thy thoughts. Curse not the rich in thy bedchamber, for a bird of the air shall carry the voice, and that which have wings shall tell the matter. So, brothers and sisters out there, we went through some Proverbs, man. We could do this like forever. And really, man, you got it from 3 different perspectives. I really love Chris bringing a lot of Ecclesiastes back to the table because, like, Proverbs kind of show you how to think, whereas Ecclesiastes tell you why. You know what I'm saying? Kind of, from that perspective. It's like Proverbs put you in the right mindset, but Ecclesiastes let you know, man, it's all vanity. And really hit that Ecclesiastes 12:3. This the last thing Solomon really, well, it's not the last thing, but the last thing he wrote in Ecclesiastes. And so it's fitting that we end our segment today with this. And I definitely appreciate you. And, if you have subject ideas that you would like for us to address, I think we probably going to address that angels sleeping with men next. That's what I think we're going to deal with, because that's dealing with a lot of Greek philosophy and stuff, too. That's the same thing as Zeus and some human making Hercules. You know what I'm saying? That's the same concept.
Demigod.
And but we'll figure that out. And hopefully we'll be able to bring that to you next month. I guess sometime this month. I don't know, within the next 30 days. Just stick around. We'll try to let you know exactly when. But Ecclesiastes 12:13 and 14. Read that.
Let's hear the conclusion of the whole matter.
So this is when it's all said and done. This is the point. Go ahead.
Fear God and keep his commandments.
Why is that?
For this is the whole duty of man.
What are you going to do?
For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
So when it's all said and done, man, like, you need to get this wisdom for a reason, because he said, I'm going to bring all the work into judgment, whether it's good, whether it's a secret, you was in your closet, you know what I'm saying? Like, you hid the bones, you put them in the deep freezer down in the basement somewhere, whatever the heck you think you did that you figure out that you think you got away with, man, you didn't. So, again, man, I appreciate y'all brothers' time this evening.
Thank you, brother.
And I'm going to leave you with this, man. One man plant, another man water, but it's the Lord that get the increase. And I thank you for your time.
Peace.
Peace.
That's good, bro.